Well, hello everybody. How you doing? I hope that you can hear me. Welcome to Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans where all Middle Americans are welcome. It doesn't matter where you've been. It doesn't matter where you're going. It just matters that you're here right now with me doing Mickey in the Middle. I can't tell you how excited I am that you're here tonight. So congratulations to Susie for being number one, the gold medalist in the Mickey in the Middle comment Olympics. Every night we have that. First one to comment gets a gold. Second gets the silver, which is hello, Carolyn, out there in the United States of America, being our best Middle American that she can be. And then hello. Thank you very much, Carolyn. I greatly appreciate you saying that. And then hello, Nicole. I'm telling you what, you're my favorite girl. I'm telling you right now. Nicole is not going to be with us tonight, but I am so glad that she is still with us, even though she's not going to be on camera tonight, unless she clicks on a link and comes in, which is not required because I told her I've got this tonight. So, and then Darla Stewart. So anyway, Nicole is winning the bronze medal. So even when Nicole's not here, she is still here with us. That is awesome. And then Darla Stewart finishing just off of the podium. And thank you very much for joining, Darla. I got that. Oh, Carolyn Graves Ledger, she's from Washington State. That is crazy. So thank you very much. I'm trying to figure out how to work in these comments down in the bottom left-hand side of the screen. I'm doing my best. We'll see how that goes through the night. But I got to leave my name down there so everybody will know who I am. So let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Mickey. I'm Mickey in the Middle. I see things from both sides. I don't think of myself as right. I don't think of myself as left. I think I am where most Middle Americans are. Here's what the deal is. We have gotten so divided, we have gotten so polarized that we cannot see the forest because we're stuck behind a tree. We got our tree. That's the only tree that we're going to look at. We're going to go, all right, this is how I feel about global warming. This is how I feel about gas prices. This is how I feel about the economy. This is how I feel about Republicans. This is how I feel about education. This is how I feel about everything. And we're standing so close to that we don't ever open up our eyes. So I will demonstrate to you some of the things that I see. And tonight is going to be a little bit of controversy. Tonight, I'm just going to tell you right now, it's going to be controversial. And the reason it's going to be controversial is the simple fact of the matter is that I try to be middle. I try. It takes a great deal of effort. Now, I'm going to tell you, I am on the middle right. I am more conservative than I am liberal. And the reason why I'm more conservative than I am liberal is because conservatism wants to conserve what we currently have without the fear of losing because we trying something new. But I recognize the simple fact that if we don't try nothing new, we will never advance as a society. It's as simple as that. It's a simple equation. You got to hold on to what you have, but you have to be willing to let a little bit of that go in order to take us to the next level. We used to be living in caves just a few hundred years ago. All right. Let's go with more than a few hundred years ago. So 200, we've been around for 245 years as a nation. Kings and queens ruled the world because we took over from King George. So that was 250. That was 300 years ago. So let's go back 1,000 years. Christ came along. So Christ was here 2,000 years ago, 2,022 years ago. So let's go back 3,000 years, which is not long in the lifetime of look at the way I'm working my way through this. Do you see the contemplative nature of who Mickey in the Middle is? That's what I'm doing. I'm trying to be contemplative. I'm trying to figure this stuff out. But we definitely were in the fields 150 years ago. We were an agrarian world in the 1860s. Was it 60s when we had the Civil War? 1860s. It had to be somewhere right around there, right? But my point is that we would still be an agrarian society if we didn't let go of the agrarian society and become an industrial revolution, have an industrial revolution. Women would not be allowed to vote had we not in the 1920s had a movement to grant suffrage, not suffering, suffrage to women so that they were legally allowed to vote in the United States of America in all elections without being hindered by the fact that women were women. It would not be the same if we didn't have the civil rights movement of the 1960s or all of these other things. So what I want to do is I want to talk about controversial conversations are important, as Nicole just pointed out. You got to be willing to have, thank you, Nicole, you got to be willing to have these controversial conversations. And that is true. And tonight we're about to have a controversial conversation. I got news for you. We got to have a controversial conversation because there is a bill passed in Florida recently about not having discussions in kindergarten through third grade classrooms about gender and sexual identity. Now, I thought it was a pretty good rule. I thought it was a pretty good rule. I was like, hey, look here, man, you don't need to be bringing any of that stuff up. But then I started seeing other sides of the issue. And here's what the fact is. There is another side of this issue. And I can't help the fact that there's always going to be two sides of an issue. And what has happened recently, and I didn't think about the second and third order effects because I've been kind of busy about doing this. The simple fact of the matter is that we have an education system that takes almost all of our kids in the public school system, and they have them for 6 to 8 hours a day from somewhere like at 8 o'clock in the morning till 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Every single day, they got to go in and they got to have these teachers in there. And then inside of that structure where the school system gets our children, then you have to come up with some type of a curriculum from preschool, which is pre-kindergarten, through kindergarten, first, second, third, all the way through the 12th grade. And that gets kids all the way from 5 to 17 or 18 years of age. And inside of that construct, we got to teach them everything that we got to teach them. So the question is, what is the school system responsible for teaching your children? Because, and this is why I kind of bring it up. And then how do they teach things? But, and this is the biggest thing, this is the hugest things for many people, is inside of the 8 hours, the 6 to 8 hours a day, social constructs of our society happen. It's not anybody's fault. It just is. When you have kids from a rich neighborhood interfacing with kids from a poor neighborhood, that's going to have an effect on the societal structure inside of a school. When you have kids that are athletes and kids that are nerds interacting, that's society taking place in school. And that doesn't have anything to do with curriculum. That has to do with society, because we have some kids that are getting assistance for lunches. We have some kids that are coming with cell phones and computers, and they have all the advantages. And then you have a whole bunch of kids that are, taking standard courses. Then you have some kids that are in special education. You have some kids that are extremely bright and that are going to be going to colleges and universities, becoming doctors, lawyers, engineers. And all of that societal pressure gets ground in right into our school systems. We can't help that. So I watched a couple of videos, and the videos basically said, hey, how do we stop this conversation from happening inside kindergarten, first, second, third grade? Because as the person that made the video pointed out, I happen to be gay. And if somebody asked me inside of the classroom about my partner, am I just supposed to say, I'm not allowed to tell you that? When in the classroom right next door, there will be a heterosexual teacher. Then somebody says, hey, what did you and your spouse do today or do this weekend? Are they then not supposed to answer? Because this is coming out now where they're saying, hey, if you're not allowed to talk about sex and gender in kindergarten through third grade, and you're trying to get rid of the gay, lesbian, trans community voices inside of a social structure, that means that then heterosexual people can't talk about that either. And I started thinking about that, and I was like, wow, society happens inside of a school system, and you have all kinds of people that are there. And you're going to have some people that show up and they're going to have to go, hey, wait a minute. Are we allowed to talk about this? Now, when I was growing up, I don't remember any conversations with any of my teachers about their significant others. I just don't think that I had any conversations of any significance with any of my teachers through the entirety of up until the last 2 years of my high school experience in the 11th and 12th grade. And that had to do with an extremely hot teacher that I had. And I had to find out whether she was married. And the answer to that was yes. And I'm going to tell you, she was hot. She's probably still hot. I'm going to tell you that, right? So the big question is inside of that, how do we have those conversations? So let me get to some comments before we get started. This is what we call a formative test, right? So formative means before, right? And what you do is you ask, there's a formative test and a summative. All right. So just to let everybody know, I have a degree in education. I have a degree from the College of Education at Southern University, Illinois. I've got a degree in workforce education and development. That means I know how to do all of the educational stuff. I didn't take the elementary educational classes and I didn't take secondary classes. I took adult education classes, but that doesn't matter because we still had to learn how to do all the instruction. We still had to do all of the testing. We still had to do all the statistics. Second thing, I was a course developer for the United States Air Force for about 25 years. I went to the course development course, and I also became a platform instructor for the United States Air Force. I was also a instructor and a standardization and evaluation person for the United States Air Force for about 20 years. So I have extensive education and training experience. And I even helped start a school in Arkansas at one time. And that school is still valid and it still has its numbers here. But inside of that, I was also married to one of the most talented educators in the United States of America. Her name was Tanya. Hey, let's go and see Tanya real quick. I love this little video. Let me do this. Let me click on this. Let me click on this. And then let me click on this. And let me show this and share it. Hey, there's my girl. So, hey, everybody, this right here is Tanya. Isn't that the greatest video ever? It's a little bitty short thing. She did it on Instagrams or something. So anyway, she was one of the greatest educators I've ever seen. Holy smokes. Stop. All right. Sorry, I just got blasted by YouTube. All right. We talked about education every single day in this household. We didn't talk about any specific students, but we talked about education, about educating our children. She was the principal of an elementary school. Then she became the principal of a middle school. Then she became a principal of a high school, the 9th grade freshman academy right here in Cabot. We talked about all of these situations about transitioning from a diametrically opposed male and female categories into how do we do inclusion for kids that have needs that are outside of the normal binary spectrum, because they had those kids here in Cabot. And we talked about this a lot, but I didn't start thinking about this subject until I started seeing this social structure inside of the schools come forward after this. As people that are opposed to it are calling the Don't Say Gay bill, which is not the name of the bill, and that doesn't say anything in there about it. But I started thinking about the social structure inside of the school, because here's what the deal is. Somewhere in school, you got to start talking about this stuff. And I don't care whether I'm talking about the left, I don't care whether I'm talking to the right. I am saying that we know that realistically, these conversations are going to happen inside of the school system at some time. The reason is because eventually you have courses that are inside of the school system called history and social studies. And then you have, what inside of the structure of sexual orientation and health do we also have these conversations. Now, as I told you the other night, the statistics are startlingly small. The gay population in the United States of America, the actual numbers, after multiple studies, after all of the studying, after all of that, the gay population in the United States of America is about 3%. Now, you would think it's much higher if you watch any television show, because everybody on a television show has at least one character that is gay. So if you have 5 characters inside of the show and one of them happens to be gay and has a partner, that means that there are 7 people that are now on the show. 2 out of 7 is an extremely high percentage. So 1 out of 5 of the main characters in a show that is gay, that's going to be a 20% representation. And then if you have that in every single show, if one of the characters is gay, that is saying that, hey, we got a 20% population of people in the United States of America is gay. I asked somebody last night, I said, what's the population of, how many gays do you think are in the United States of America? And that number came back at 40. The general population of the United States of America thinks the number is 30. The real number is 3% of the people in the United States of America are gay. And study after study after study. That means that if you take women and men and you divide them equally, that means that 1.5% of men are gay and 1.5% of women are gay. There's a really, really, really huge conversation about being gay and what that means in America today. But those are just the strict numbers. Those are the strict numbers. And that is one of the things that, if the people are overestimating the number of people that are gay and you're going to make that a total agenda for everybody in the school, it doesn't have to be in the context of exploring your sexuality. It doesn't have to go to, hey, you're a child and you go to school. Have you explored your sexuality? Do you know whether you're gender fluid? Do you know whether you're pansexual, bisexual, trisexual? Do you know what you are? That is not the job of anybody in the school. It's not the conversation of anybody in a school to explore the sexual identity of any student. They're not psychologists in the school. Teachers, I got news for you. It's none your business. It's nobody's business except that child. If that child wants to go out and do some exploration on their own, it's got to be outside of the school system, because if you want to teach sexuality in health class. That's a biological function. And you go, hey, look here. This is the sex organs of a man. These are the sex organs of a woman. This is how sex takes place. Nobody needs to go beyond that conversation. You can say, listen to me. 97% of the people in the United States are 96% of the people in the United States of America are heterosexual. That's a statistic. 3% of the people in the United States of America are gay. Less than 1% of the population in the United States of America are trans. 1 in 20,000, I think the number is 1 in 20,000, are born with a sexual, with genitalia that is non-defined and has to be assigned at birth if their parents want it assigned at birth. Those are the numbers. The numbers are so incredibly small that we don't need to go and explore every child's sexual orientation and saying, hey, look here, this is a scale. This is a scale. You can pick anything that you want on there. Well, no, you don't need to be checking people's, and then they go, well, what if the child brings it up to me? Then you go, great. We're going to refer that to your home. We're going to refer that to home. Home. There's nothing that happens to a child there's nothing that happens in a child when a school, when they start exploring stuff that's outside of the curriculum that you need to address. You don't need to fix any children. You don't need to help any children. You just need to stay the hell to the curriculum. It doesn't say anywhere, well, I want to be my children, my students' friends. Awesome. Then know what your job is. Your job is not to have a relationship with the children outside of the class. You're not supposed to. You can say hi to them in the grocery store. My wife used to be horrified to go to Walmart, to be seen outside of the school environment where she could just go hi. And kids ran up and hugged her all the time. Kids confided things in her all of the time. And she recognized what her job was and what her job wasn't. Her job was not to hide anything from the parents. Her job was not to hide anything from the students. Her job was not to fix the social ills of our society. Her job was to be honest and deal with the curriculum inside of the state, or inside as directed by the state. I'm not saying that you can't say, hey, look here. I am married to a person of the same sex. Oh, yeah? What's that like? None of your fucking business. That is my personal relationship that has nothing to do with school. I don't know where teachers and educators are starting to get this idea that it's their job to socially instruct children. It's not their job. We have a curriculum for a reason. And inside of the curriculum, nowhere does it says build a relationship where your children are talking about sexually explicit expression. There's a very, very simple solution to this. Teach. That's it. Teach them what you're supposed to teach them. If somebody goes, hey, what is your sexual thing? Hey, man. And that goes for heterosexual teachers too. So let me talk about the heterosexual dilemma. Heterosexual dilemmas are not allowed to celebrate Mother's Day. That was one of the things in the video. You're not allowed to do Mother's Day. No, the bill doesn't say that you can't celebrate Mother's Day. Never says that you can't celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day. The bill doesn't say that. Matter of fact, everybody that wants to be gender fluid, they're saying, well, anybody can be a woman. Awesome. Keep that shit out of the classroom. If you want to define yourself as a mother and you want to have children and you want to have children. They're available. You can either birth them, have surrogates, you can adopt them, you can steal them. Just kidding. Don't steal children. But the simple fact of the matter is, you can still do all of the things that are in society today. You can still do everything that's in society today. But you don't need to be building. You got a kid for a year. Kids have problems. You know what you're supposed to do? If a kid comes up with a problem that you can't handle in the classroom, you go, hey, head up to the front office. Go see a counselor. We're not dealing with this in the classroom. You want to know why? Because people that are in the classroom are not equipped to deal with transgender issues. Well, I'm transgender and I'm fully qualified. No, if you're transgender, that means that you're transgender. It doesn't mean that you're a psychologist. It doesn't mean that you're a doctor. It doesn't mean that you have any training inside of this. And if you do have training inside of that, then you need to be a teacher inside of the classroom, and you need to open up a side hustle down the street saying, I am a doctor of psychology, or I am a counselor, or I am a this or a that. This is extremely simple for me because I have a degree in education. You have objectives. You teach the curriculum to get the objective, and then you test that, and you find out where the kid is. And then you go, congratulations, you're on to the next step. You get to go to the next grade. That's what, if this needs to be addressed, I am not saying that it cannot be addressed in history. I'm not saying that it can't be addressed in social studies. I'm not saying that it can't be addressed in a multitude of different ways, in other classes, in other environments. Yes, you can go talk about it on YouTube all you want. You can go and talk about it on Facebook all you want. You can talk about it because we have free speech in the United States of America. But inside of a classroom, there's a curriculum. And for heterosexual and others, we need to keep all of that out unless it's specifically identified by the state and by the Department of Education inside of that state as being relative to the curriculum that is inside of the classroom. Let's go to some comments. Let's see. Nicole says it's not education, math, art, science. Now it's how do you feel? It is kind of how do you feel. That is true. Darla says the schools don't need to be addressing those issues with children who can't even read yet. That is true. Refer the child to their parents. If one needs law to keep them from discussing sex and genitalia with 5-7-year-olds, I don't think should even be near children. You're correct. That is just a bad conversation. That is just a bad conversation. Nicole once again says, unfortunately, how they feel will not teach them how to be a productive member of society. That is true. And then she goes on to say, because it was not related to teaching you the core curriculum. And this is a response to Tanya's thing, God sighting through that beautiful woman. Yeah, she was absolutely beautiful. Replying to Nicole Laverne, Festerman, unnecessary. If the gay population of 3%, what other issues need to be introduced to 5-year-olds? Well, all right. So, Darla, this is one of the things. If the gay population 3%, what other issues need to be introduced to 5-year-old male pattern baldness? All right. So, and here's my theory. I talked to Nicole about this last night a little bit. I was like, listen, kids make bad decisions. They see something that's cool and they make bad decisions. If Mike Tyson with a face tattoo, if they saw Mike Tyson and an 8-year-old said, man, I really like the way that Mike Tyson looks at that, to the teacher, I would like to get a face tattoo. Do you think that the teacher who has tattoos all over their body should be advising an 8-year-old against, should that teacher tell the parents, or should the teacher help the student get a face tattoo? That's what this equates to. It's not even crazy. That should be referred to parents. And I'm sorry I'm getting mad about this, but the simple fact of the matter is, even if you go get rid of all of the gender norming things that are out there in the world right there, it still shouldn't be discussed. And you go, well, it's going to affect heterosexual teachers too. They can't talk about their partners. I don't want them talking about their partners. I don't want them talking about kids. I don't want them talking about anything that has to do with sex and gender to a 3rd grader or 4th grader, 5th grader, maybe 6th graders, because women are coming into puberty at younger and younger ages. Some of them as low as 11 and 12, some 10-year-olds. I'm just trying to tell you, it's crazy. Replying to Nicole Festerman, unnecessary. I don't know what that means. I missed that. I agree. Bill Keeler. Oh my gosh, Bill Keeler, how you doing? Your percentages are wrong. Yes, on the 3%, but the total population, but that male and female number is about 1.5, think. 3, 1.5 and 1.5, 1.5 and 1.5. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Here's the deal. Bill is much smarter than I am. And he's much better looking too. And yes, sir, we got to go to lunch real soon. What are those numbers? Those numbers are about gay populations and male and female. So there you go. And then finally, Nicole says, teach curriculum and nothing socially motivated. That's right. Here's what the deal is. People need to find their own voice in this world, and that's just the way that it is. So, uh, listen, this is controversial subjects, and I'm not afraid of controversial subjects. The simple fact of the matter is that I don't believe that people that teach children have ill intent in their heart. I'm going to tell you, I've met so many, and I really think that the people that teach kids love kids. And I really think that they want to help them out in so many situations. And people are empathetic, and people really want to hurt when they see a kid that's hurting because they're poor, when they see kids that are hurting because they've lost a family member, or they're having problems at home, or that they don't own a jacket, that they don't have electricity and they can't get any heat in their home, or that their family just busted up. Teachers can help out a tremendous amount with that. And I think that those conversations need to be met with compassion and dignity. But I think that the same thing is that parents have to trust teachers a little bit, and teachers have to trust parents. And here's what the deal is. There's been a whole bunch of people that are not on the binary spectrum of standard heterosexual normative male and female that have been hurt in the past by policies of the government and policies by different members of society and different feelings that have really hurt people of the gay community, the trans community. There's a lot of people, and they don't want the kids to get hurt because they go, hey, look here. If a kid says, hey, look here, if I tell my dad that I'm gay, I'm going to get beaten. That's a difficult situation for a teacher, whether the teacher is straight or whether the teacher is not straight. And then teachers have to navigate that, especially in high school. I'm not talking about the kids anymore. I'm not talking about kids anymore. I'm not talking about below the 6th grade anymore. Those conversations come up because society is bombing these kids, like I said last night on the social dilemma. They are getting into these kids' head by feeding them things that they want to look at. So if a young person goes on and looks at dresses, I will tell you something right now. At one time in my life, I wanted to design women's clothing. I think that women are unbelievably beautiful. I think that women are cut. Oh my God. Have you seen my wife? Damn, was she hot? Here's the thing is, the simple fact of the matter that if I went on social media now and I started looking at dress designing and I started looking at designing dresses and women, all of a sudden, socially, inside of the social media accounts, I would be dropped into a hole where there are designers and where there are dress manufacturers and there are design shows. And guess what? A lot of people a lot of men that design women's clothing happen to be gay. And then all of a sudden, you can see how that would lead to, hey, they're gay. What does gay mean? Well, gay means this. And oh my gosh, look at this as my partner. And it takes somebody down a rabbit hole that they might not even be thinking. And that's a social dilemma for every one of us that we've got to face because that is perfectly legal. The manipulation of children that is happening in our society is going to be addressed somewhere in the school system because kids are smart and kids are curious. The question is how do people inside of a school system get together and join and team with family members to make sure that these kids are in a safe environment 24/7, that we can discuss these things in a reasonable and sane manner. But the simple fact of the matter is both sides have polarized on this issue. But the one thing that we can all agree with is that our children are precious and we have to protect them. And the way that you protect a child is to stick to your lane. You got to stay in your lane. If you need to refer, that's one of the things that we used to do in the military. And it's one of the things that Tanya, as a principal of a high school, a middle school, and an elementary school, did extremely well. When somebody brought to her a problem, she knew whether it was in her lane or out of her lane, and she referred either to the Department of Health, to social services, to the police departments, to the upper levels of management in a school, to the school board. She knew her lane and she knew how to refer. That is the solution inside of our school system. And all of the parents, all of the teachers, all of the administrators had better grab onto that, because there are professionals in our world that deal with this kind of subject matter. And we have got to have faith that the professionals that deal with psychology and physiology and the doctors and the mental health professionals, that's their lane. We need to find a solution inside of our school systems to get children, all of them, proper referrals, whether it is for special education, whether it is for very, very talented and gifted kids, whether it's people that are having problems with suicide, whether it's problems with hunger, whether it's problems with electricity, whether it's problems because they're getting beaten at home. Those are all referral services. Those are not to be handled by teachers. So I sympathize with the teachers, but you got to remember that stay in your lane. And you got to remember that there's a lot of help out here in the world for all of these kids that might have questions, but that should not be addressed inside of the classroom. If you want to tell a kid, yeah, me and my partner had a great time, or me and my spouse had a great time, or me and my husband had a great time, and the kid looks at you and he goes, you're a dude. Why do you have a husband? You just look at him and just go, well, that's the law in the United States. You can love whoever you want to love. Now, back to math. And with that, we're out of time. Hey, do me a favor, everybody. Read all of the comments. Some of these comments are absolutely brilliant in here. These comments are brilliant, and we need to get to the fact that we got some really brilliant people watching this, and that this is really important. I'm sorry that it didn't provide solutions earlier in the show, but the referral services inside of the school system is what really needs to be maximized in order to take care of the situations that we're having all over with these societal issues that filter into the school system, because that's where our younger society hangs out 6 to 8 hours a day. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you very much for attending Mickey in the Middle without Nicole today. I just want to say I miss you, Nicole, and love you. And thank you very much for watching Mickey in the Middle. Remember to like, share, hit the notification bell. Remember, my name is Mickey. I'm here Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central, right here wherever I am, 9 p.m. Central, right there wherever you are. Remember, embrace your middleness. We need you, America. America is counting on Middle America more now than they ever have. You guys have a fantastic night. Remember, and I will see you next time. Good night, small one. I love you. You guys be good. Oh, graphics. I gotta do the graphics thing. Hey, good night.